weeks ago, and I just started starts a month ago, and I started kicking in December, so it's hard to just put a specific time on what I'd like to go, but I'd like technically to have decent races. Obviously I don't want to lose, but you know, I just have to be aware of where I am in my training right now and not have too high of expectations. And so I actually just watched a video of my race, and my start definitely needs a lot of work, you know, probably because of my knee. It didn't seem like I had a lot of oomph coming off, and my stroke looked good. You can tell underwater my kick was not where it should be, probably because of my knee and stuff. But overall it was you know, a decent time for me for where I am right now.
How difficult has it been for you in this rehab process? As such a type A personality and a workout freak to really be kind of spending so much idle time?
It definitely tested my patience. This was the first surgery where I actually had to listen to the doctor. I mean, you're supposed to always listen to your doctor, but you know, you always kind of push the limits a little bit. And this one I couldn't, because basically they reconstructed my whole knee and transplanted cartilage, and it takes about a good 9 months to a year for the cartilage to harden under the kneecap. And if it doesn't and it comes off, you're basically starting all over again. So it definitely tested me, but it was good. I mean, I was able to get to rest my body some and work on other parts that needed some help in my upper body and my core, and so I feel pretty good. You know, I'm still not where I want to be with my leg. It's I'm 16 months post-op, and they say it takes around 18 to 24 months for it to recover. So.
Are you pain-free?
No, I'm not pain-free. I'm like 90% better than I was at Rome and before I had my surgery. So not having that pain of, like, I'm able to walk up and down stairs without pain. I'm able to walk and pick up my daughter and squat down and get her, which is nice. I still have just a slight little pain, which they said may never go away, or you know, give it up to 2 years and stuff. So.
What about swelling?
Swelling's great. That was one of the first things that went away, because I had a huge cyst on the back of my leg until the surgery, and I had it since the Olympics, and on the back of my knee, and so that was the first thing that went away. So it was great, and my swelling was down after about 3 months. So, which is big, because usually swelling is an indication of something going on. So that was a good thing that the swelling went down quick.
I've had 7 ACL surgeries, so I.
Oh, that's why you're asking all
the
knee.
Yeah. First-hand experience.
So you mentioned the Olympics. You're looking for your 6th Olympic bid. So, question: as a child, did you dream of being an Olympic swimmer?
You know, I didn't until I was about probably 12 or 13 years old, and then, you know, I didn't really watch the '76 Olympics. I was only 9. You know, I wasn't that intense in swimming at that point in time to, you know, be into one specific sport. But, you know, when I turned 12, 13, the '80 Olympics were boycotted, so I didn't get to see really what it was about. But when I was about 13, 14 is when I was, you know, started aiming towards wanting to swim in the Olympics. And, you know, I really just wanted to come here and make my trial cut, and I did, so that's good.
So over the years, how have you kept that dream alive and the motivation? I mean, you've been doing it for a while.
Yeah, you know, I have been doing it for a while, and you know, there's 2 things. First of all, I don't want to be that athlete that is like at the top of the game and then just goes down real quick. And you guys see lots of athletes that do that, or they make comebacks, or, you know, and I'm very leery of that. Like I have to kind of figure out where that line is. So you know, if I start to get to that point, then that will probably be it for me. So I'm hoping, like, my coaches are really cognizant of my training and how my body's feeling, and I mean really aware even more this time around than I was training for '08, not to do too much where I'm going to completely burn out. So it's kind of a fine line. And then the other thing was I love swimming. You know, I just really do. And so when I was off, you know, rehabbing my leg for a year, it was a nice break, but it kind of wanted me to and that's why I do it. I mean, I don't really feel like I have a ton to prove right now. I just really enjoy doing it and love standing up and racing against the kids. So as long as I can do that and I can still stay with them, then I'm going to keep doing it.
Is 2012 the goal?
Yes. Yeah. When I decided to get back in and start swimming, I had lunch with Michael, the head coach at Coral Springs, and you know, before I could kind of get the words out, he's like, "So we're going to do it?" And I'm like, "Okay, you know, I guess." And I said, "Well, what do you think?" You know, and he kind of had this like smirky smile on his face. He's like, "I'm up for the challenge." I'm like, "Okay." So that was it. Like I don't think I would just be in and come into these meets if I didn't have the trials as a goal. So.
What do you see as the end of the line, or is there an end of the line?
Oh yeah, there is. I was like, I got interviewed the other day, and I was like, okay, you can quote me that this is definitely it. Like, there is no more. I am done. So if you ever see me in a pool again, it'll be like hanging out with my daughter, or maybe swimming little masters here and there. But this is it. I mean, it's hard. Right now I'm only training for a 50, just because. You know, it wreaks. I mean, 100's only one lap more, but that's a lot more training in a pool. And right now, it seems like my body's handling the training for a 50, and it's kind of nice to come to a meet and just swim a 50. You know, everyone's like, "What are you swimming like a 50?" You know, like sorry, but they're like 10 events. So
you talk about swimming against the kids, and I'm sure when you're in the pool, those differences aren't apparent. But I mean, we're talking about like a generation gap. So like how. Are some anecdotes about some of those differences and how they manifest?
You know, it's funny. I was looking at the heat sheet, and I think the oldest next to me was 23, so I'm 20 years older than the people in my heat, and I just kind of start laughing. You know, it is kind of funny. You know, when I dive in the pool, I don't think about that. But when you're standing there behind the blocks, you kind of look and you're like, wow, you know, I'm just about as old as their parents or even older. So it's just more of like a laugh than anything. And you know, there's some differences, like at least on our team, like with the music we listen to on the deck, and you know, I want the hard rock and classic rock, and they want the hip hop, and you know, so there's like that kind of stuff. But they also give me grief a little bit because I don't do as much as they do. I'm like, look, when you're 43, you can do as much as I do and see how you feel, you know.
What are their nicknames? Do they have nicknames for you?
Grandma, like they were laughing when I walked by because I had my old goggles on, and they asked if windshield wipers come with them because they're so big, and you know, that kind of stuff. They were just teasing me before I swam. So, and they were asking me how old the goggles were, and I didn't answer. So I want them to, probably older than them. So.
You mentioned your coach, and he's been facing some health issues. Where is that at?
It's not good. That's another thing is coming to this meet. It's been such an emotional roller coaster ride, especially the past month, that it just, you don't realize how much emotions can drain you physically until you go through something like that when someone who's like a father figure to you is going through such a tough time. And he had a couple, went to cardiac arrest a couple times, was on a ventilator, and he's off now, but you can't really communicate with him right now, so he's still in the ICU, and so it's really hard. You know, it's hard to try to see if you can block that out of your mind, but you also feel like he's there with you, you know, and it's tough.
Is it something you can use as a motivational tool, or is it deeper than that?
It's deeper. That's part of it. I mean, you can use it as a motivational tool, and I try to, but it's also, you know, when I go and visit him in the hospital and you see him, it's you just get very emotional, and it really it drains you. It's very draining, but you want to go in there and help, and you can, and so you just feel kind of helpless.
So you're here with, you have folks, your coach is back home, but you have folks here who
Yeah, and also I've been training with the sprint coach at Florida, Chris Jackson, and Bruno Darzi, and they've kind of taken over. They've coached with Michael for years, and so they know
They're
he
both
stopped.
here this weekend?
No, they actually didn't come this weekend. They're going to come to the other meets, but this was sort of a last minute thing for me to enter. I entered like a month before, so they kind of had our stuff already going on this weekend. But one of the assistant coaches who coached with Michael is here too.
How did you decide it was finally time to come back and peg this as the first meet?
Well, I actually didn't think I was going to come back to the summertime, and my trainer who works with me on strengthening my leg, he comes in town every like 6 to 8 weeks and gives me new programs. And when he came in the fall, I tried to bend down and do a start, and I couldn't. Like the loading on my leg, it just hurt too much. So when he came in December, I think he came in the beginning of January. He goes, "Have you done any starts?" I'm like, "No, I couldn't. You know, it hurt last time you were here." He's like, "Well, let's just try one. There's no reason why you can't." I'm like, ugh. And so I got on the blocks, I did a start, I'm like, oh, wow, that doesn't hurt, you know? So that's when I was like, well, you know, even though I'm not where I want to be training-wise and we're still easing into it, I kind of just wanted to come to a meet and swim just to break up the training.
So you said the 2012 is definitely it. Didn't you kind of say the same thing in 2008?
No, but this is definitely, I mean, I'll be like menopause by that time. I don't need to be, I don't need to be training like that. You know, like I said, I do this because I love it. I don't feel like I really have a lot to prove anymore. And I think I'll always love the sport of swimming, but there has to be a point in time when you do sort of draw that line and say, okay, it's been a great career, and you know, time to move on. And you know, my daughter, it's tough, you know, on her, me being away. And I was gone one day, and she's asking me when am I coming home, and so that kind of.
How old is your daughter?
She'll be 5 in April, so she's 4 right now. So. You know, that's always tough too, and you know, I'm doing this, but I want to be an example for her when she gets older and she realizes you don't have to put an age limit on your dreams. But I think 45 is going to be it.
After the '08 games, did you kind of think that was it at the time?
I was kind of mixed. I thought it was, but it wasn't like it was. That's a definite.
Sure.
So I think if I'd won a gold, that probably would have been it.
Okay.
I just I don't think I would have kept swimming after that.
So a gold medal is still the dream.
Well, let's be feasible here. I mean, I am 2 years old. It's different because being 20 and then doing something 2-3 years later is much different than being 41 and doing it 2 or 3 years later. So, I am realistic, and I think any swimmer who goes to Olympic trials or goes to the Olympics wants to win, and that's just everyone's attitude. But it's just a matter of what you can actually do and what your body can do.
One more question, guys.
In terms of life after swimming, I was talking to Evan actually earlier this week, and he talked about this goal of the Jack LaLanne of the 21st century. I think were his words. But what's the plan? What's your post swimming career looking like?
I'm right now. It's more of a one day at a time thing. Evan has all that other stuff planned. Like, okay, Dara, you went here, you went there. But I'm just focusing on swimming right now. I'd love to be able to be an inspiration in fitness and health, for people. And I think my swimming is what's happening is I have so many people telling me that I'm motivating them, that this is motivating me to keep going, even though I said I don't really have anything to prove. It's been fun because people seem to, kind of take away that, you don't have to put an age limit on your dreams, and maybe if you thought you're too busy, you could find time to do stuff that you put off or didn't think you had time to do, or find a balance in a schedule, when you have kids. And so that's kind of a motivating thing for me. But, after I'm done, I don't know what the world holds for me, but I would love to, be an inspiration in some kind of fitness or health, aspect, I guess.
Thanks, Dara.
Thank you guys. You guys have a nice day.
You too. Good luck.